All right, so here I am with the 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLS 450. It's kind of their mid-cycle refresh. And it's been a great week. This is obviously a very beautiful and stylish three-row SUV, and it's been really interesting to spend a couple hundred miles and drive around with my family and with my wife. And anyway, some very interesting findings. So I'm excited to talk to you more today about it. I'm going to take you around. I'll show you the exterior, I'll show you the interior, and we'll just kind of go from there, and I'll give you my thoughts as it compares to the competition, as well as some lower priced rivals, which might actually offer more for the money. All right, so here it is in that gorgeous blue. Wow. This color is just amazing. It was on the GLE 63 that was sent out here as well, and I really, really like it. As you can see though, it's a really beautiful three-row SUV. Across the board, I think Mercedes is doing a great job with pretty much all their stuff. And I've especially enjoyed their SUVs of late. I loved the GLE 63 that was out here, and this GLS also just looks really nice. It definitely, I think, looks a little more conservative than some of the competition, but I don't think that's a bad thing. There's like just a confident yet understated elegance and beauty that's part of this car that I really appreciate. And that new front end and the new grille for 2024 looks very, very sharp. As a whole, I think it looks great. Honestly, I have no complaints. I think this is just a very beautiful and, like I said, confident, elegant looking three-row SUV that you're going to be pretty happy with how, at least in the styling, how it looks. So coming into the front row, you're treated with that typical, beautiful Mercedes interior. Very, very nice. Your wood trim, heated, ventilated front seats, your seat adjustments here, including headrest. Thigh support extends out there, which is so nice. Switches, all of the materials, like every single button, everything in here just feels and looks so, so nice. I think Mercedes really should be commended for everything that they're doing to make their cars just so beautiful. The styling is amazing, especially at night with the ambient lighting, and you have these beautiful vents, nice large screen, which is, technically two, but it looks like one. And then of course, just this new steering wheel that I think is just so cool looking. I love the buttons, although I wonder how long they will last, because some of them are just kind of slider buttons, and not my favorite, but they are kind of fun to use. Again, I just wonder about long term. But overall, just a really, really nice place to spend time. Coming into the second row, you're treated to another beautiful door panel, but there are no pull-up screens, which I was kind of surprised for. Our Kia Telluride has that, and that is nearly half the price of this, so kind of an interesting omission. These seats are pretty comfortable, and they're kind of an interesting shape. They kind of just look a little weird there, but they are nice and comfortable. And you do have lots of legroom. Me sitting behind myself, which I'm 5'9", it's very nice. I've got, plenty of knee room here, plenty of legroom. I can put my feet underneath the seat, and I could imagine being comfortable for very, very long drives in this. Coming over here, you have your cup holders, which is interesting. You have one regular one and one smaller one, which is almost like for a Red Bull or something. I'm not really sure. Then you've got your controls here and your vents and more vents here on the side. And then obviously a very large panoramic moonroof, which is excellent. So overall, it's a pretty good second row. It's definitely great for two adults. This would be a perfect four-seater, and you're going to be very comfortable. You do have electronic seat adjustments here that can slide you obviously forward and back and adjust your headrest even, and it's overall pretty cool. So looking at the third row, this is really where the GLS kind of falls short a little bit. You can tell that there's really not much legroom except for maybe very, very small children. Kind of reminds me of the LX600 in here. There wasn't much back there either, but not a ton. And so let me show you how to get in the back. So to get into the rear, you can either walk down this hump. Notice there is a pretty distinct hump in the floor. It goes up about 4 inches. Very surprising, but you kind of walk along that, which is a little tedious and uncomfortable. Or you can pull this button, which moves both seats. I've never seen that, where it moves the front seat as well. And it very slowly moves into place. And then from there, once I'm in the rear, so I can climb in, and you know, it's not bad. Like there's some decent comfort here. Like they're pretty supportive third row seats. The problem is when that seat comes back, you can tell there's going to be no legroom. Like if I want to sit behind this seat, which is all the way back, I literally can't even get my legs behind it. And so, in order to be comfortable, you need to move this second row up several inches, and I'll show you what that looks like. So to put it back, you have to press this button. You can't just one touch it. You have to hold this button down, and it very slowly returns to that position and adjust your headrest. But that's as far as it goes. You have to then adjust the rest of the seat back. So let's just leave it there, and I'll show you. I'll adjust the backrest so it's kind of normal, and I'll show you how I fit in the third row with the seat in this position. So here I am in the third row with the second row moved up several inches. As you can tell, there's not a lot of legroom now for the second row, and my knee is jammed against this second row seat. Thankfully, my other knee can kind of rest out here in the middle, but if you have two adults back here, it's going to be super cramped. I'm a little let down by the third row space. I mean, this is like a 3-row SUV, right? And it's a pretty large car. And so overall, like, it's not very competitive. I would consider this much more of a 4-seater. If you really want to put 2 people in the back, make sure they are small children. Even teenagers, I think, will be pretty uncomfortable. And then here's the legroom with the second row pushed forward, so there's at least some room in the back in the third row. And as you can see, it's not amazing. Like, it's passable, but I wouldn't want to be here for a long period of time. And lastly, here's the cargo area with the third row up. Not bad. It's definitely a little bit more than like the LX600. And then under here, no, it is not more storage. It is just your spare, which is obviously a great thing to have. All right, so here we go, starting off in the new, well, mid-cycle refresh GLS 450. All right, so I'm gonna try to keep this pretty succinct because I think my thoughts about it are pretty succinct. First of all, clearly this is a beautiful car. I mean, across the board, I think right now Mercedes is doing really wonderful things with their styling. I think it's gorgeous to look at on the exterior. I think the surfaces are nice and smooth and beautiful. And I think especially the interior, especially this front cockpit area for the driver and for the front passenger is a wonderful, wonderful place to spend time. The seats are very comfortable and soft and supportive. The dash, the digital displays are crystal clear and just so beautiful. The vents are incredible. I love just how there's these 4 right here. I mean, I just love everything about the cockpit area for the driver and front passenger. The steering wheel feels excellent. The new design is so cool. It just kind of looks like airplane bladed wings or props like right there. It's just a really, really cool place, especially all this ambient lighting at night is just mind-blowing. It truly creates like a very relaxing and a personalized experience. You can go through the menu and kind of set the different lights and mood that you'd like, which I think is really cool. And something that I think you know, other cars of this price range could take a lesson on. It's just the beautiful customization and just the ambiance and the feeling that this car creates, especially in the evening or nighttime. It's a very cool and special driving experience that's not really had in really anything else. No one's doing it like Mercedes. It's really cool. So as far as my other thoughts go, power is amazing. Power's been bumped to 375 horsepower. This is not the upper 580 and especially not the G63 AMG. But as it is, this thing rips along plenty fast. Like, you shouldn't feel bad or embarrassed or feel like you really, really need that more power. I mean, would the 580 or the GLS 63 be like even more fun and hilarious? Yeah, but this thing really scoots along as is, and I've really enjoyed it. I wish that they would put something like this engine like in our Telluride, which more on that in just a second. But as tested, this is right about $94,000, $95,000, and you know, that's quite a bit of money, and it puts you into some interesting competition. With similar SUVs, you've got the Land Rover Defender. Obviously, you have, you know, stuff like the Escalade, the Grand Wagoneer, LX600, stuff like that. And what I will say is that for 95 grand and for 4 passengers, four occupants, if this is just going to be a 4-seater for you, it's pretty good. You know, it's pretty good. It's very comfortable. It has all of the standard, like, landmark Mercedes qualities that you would hope to find. It's powerful, it's luxurious, and it's quiet. Like, here on the freeway, I don't know if you can really tell from these mics, but it's, you know, very subdued and calm in here in the interior, which is something I've always really liked about Mercedes. It's always felt like just a very calm, even relaxing driving experience, which I quite enjoy, especially after like a long day at work. I just kind of like to just relax, right? And that's what this does really well. The second row is pretty good. There's great leg room. You can't move them back, but you can't like a whole lot at all. But you can move them forward, which is nice, especially for the third row, which I'll talk about in a second. The seats aren't amazing. They're very comfortable, but not incredible. And there are some interesting features missing out of the second row. Ventilated seats and like pull-down shades or pull-up shades from inside the door are missing. And just along, you know, with some other things, but numerous charging ports, stuff like that. Which brings into question, you know, the value play of this Mercedes. And I know if you're buying a Mercedes, you're probably not looking for value, but you are probably expecting like all of the luxury. And there's definitely some that are notably absent from this car, and some that maybe don't work as well as you're probably hoping. The ventilated seats up front, for example, are nice to have, but they definitely don't get very chilly. Regarding the third row, it's honestly a little disappointing. To enter the third row, as I've already demonstrated, you have to like press the button, and it moves the second row chair forward, but also moves the passenger seat forward ever so slightly. It just moves the front seat forward. It's crazy. I don't know if I've ever really seen, which is weird. And then when it goes back down after you get into the third row, the second row chair does not completely move back into its previous position. You then have to adjust the seating position, which is all motorized on the door. Not only is the third row entrance motor very slow and sluggish and kind of just awkward, it's just even worse like when I'm trying to put it back. So take that for what you will. And then there's only 2 seats back there. And so to even be comfortable, like I can't even sit back there as is with the second row all the way back. I have to move the second row several inches forward for me to even get my knees back there, and they're still touching the seat, which is just very odd. This is like a large vehicle, but the interior packaging is, frankly, it is disappointing. It doesn't feel as thought out as pretty much any other like Mercedes product I've been in recently. And the third row honestly is just kind of, it's there and it can do in a pinch, but it's not really, I wouldn't say it's very usable on a daily basis. I would just get the GLE, which I think actually has even more legroom in the back than this does for the second row, because you're just not going to be able to use that third row very often in this vehicle. Which leads me to like kind of some of my final thoughts, and that again is just about the value. If you just like love Mercedes and you have to have the name brand, you have to have the Mercedes, you know, badge, and it does come, like it rides so well. The engine is magnificent, the transmission, the driving experience is wonderful. I would love to road trip in this thing. It's been getting just over like 20 miles per gallon, which is like, oh, there it is. Yeah, just over, for the last 2,600 miles, this has been getting about 22.8 miles per gallon, which That's not bad. That's pretty good, especially for how much power this makes and for how heavy this is and how big it is. But if you're willing to explore 3-row SUVs that aren't quite full-size SUVs, you could probably almost buy 2 fully loaded, for example, Kia Tellurides for what this is. And the Telluride, shockingly, is going to give you more luxury features, like our Telluride, 2nd row heated and ventilated seats and the curtains. And the 3rd row has 3 seat belts, and it's way more easy to access and B, comfortable. And so you could get a fully loaded Telluride at 54, 55 grand, and it has more features and more space. No, it doesn't have the power, doesn't have the engine, doesn't have the power plant, doesn't have the same level of, quite the same level of build quality, although the Kia is very good. It doesn't have the same level as materials. This also doesn't have a heads-up display, which the Kia does. So there are some things that are just missing for the price point. It's very expensive, and it would be hard not to look at other things in that price range, especially like things like the Escalade, which is very, very impressive, the Grand Wagoneer, things of that nature, which might offer just a little bit more luxury and space for similar money. And so in conclusion, I really enjoy driving the GLS. I think, again, as a 4-seater, it works wonderfully. You're gonna have tons of cargo room. It's very comfortable. It's very quiet. It's a great place to spend time. It smells good in here. I mean, all the stuff you would expect, most of the stuff you would expect from Mercedes is here. But there are also some significant drawbacks, mainly, especially in the 3rd row. It's ease of access. There's also kind of like a weird, almost like a hump going into the 3rd row. So you're gonna like step up and walk on this hump back there. Anyway, it's just kind of weird. And it's the 3rd row comfort as well, which also kind of in turn bleeds into 2nd row comfort, where it's just good, but it's not quite, amazing. So there you have it. I'm a huge Mercedes fan in general. I've adored everything I've driven from them the last couple years, especially. And this GLS is also impressive if you're looking for those things specifically, and the lack of those other features doesn't bother you. If you want just something that's smooth riding, powerful, and like a really nice place to be that has beautiful styling inside and out, you're going to be pretty happy with this new 2024 GLS 450. And so anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'd love to talk to you later. See ya.